The Minnesota Timberwolves, who are now fighting for a playoff spot, about 2 games out of a playoff spot in the West, beat the Los Angeles Lakers. It's good news. They beat them pretty handily. Wasn't even close. Seems like good things are happening for the Timberwolves until we get this report that Tom Thibodeau has been relieved of his duties as not just the head coach, but also as the president of basketball operations for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Jalen Rose, what do you think about the timing of this firing of Tom Thibodeau?
The timing is interesting. I can't say I'm surprised. I think this season started to unravel before it ever got going with the whole Jimmy Butler saga. And Tibbs, who's a really good NBA coach, and I think he deserves another opportunity somewhere in the league, didn't necessarily get everybody initially to play to their maximum ability, except Derrick Rose, who had a resurgence this season. So he is a player in particular I'm going to watch and monitor his productivity moving forward, because he was really effective with Tibbs as his head coach. But overall, once they paid Wiggins a maximum contract, they needed him to perform. They need him to perform as such. And while Towns has had his moments of inconsistency, he has been playing really well, scoring, getting boards, getting blocks. Like, he's playing with a level of enthusiasm. They had a great win against the Lakers, as you noted. And so, like, for Tibbs to be relieved, I can't say I'm surprised that it happened, but it normally doesn't happen after you got a big-time win.
Well, there was a follow-up tweet about this from Woj, and Woj went on and he tweeted about maybe some potential replacements for the job that is now open. Woj tweeted, quote, Minnesota GM Scott Layden will remain in place for now, but his future is uncertain. Fred Hoiberg and ESPN analyst Chauncey Billups have been discussed internally as possible candidates for GM or head coach per sources. Hoiberg appears focused on a return to NBA coaching. Interesting. There are some people that are kind of making a link between Hoiberg's potential interest in the UCLA job and the timing of the firing. It seems like Hoiberg has been earmarked as someone that the Minnesota wants to come in. But I ask you this, does this mean that your NBA countdown brother and my pickup basketball playmate, Chauncey Billups, will be leaving us and going to Minnesota?
It will be well-deserved, and I'm happy that he continues to be mentioned when these opportunities come up. I think if he was to get an opportunity like that, he'd do a terrific job. But I think this is going to be Fred Hoiberg's gig. He worked previously for a really long time within the organization before he went to Iowa State, and there's always been an affinity for him with that franchise. And so I would not be surprised. And the timing you just acknowledged with the UCLA job coming open, and we know the kind of coach that he was in college, he actually, in my opinion, didn't get a true and fair overall shot to actually be a head coach in Chicago, because they turned over the roster and the expectations of the team changed. It seemed like each season. So, like, I would not be surprised if it's Fred, and he has some young talent to work with in Minnesota.